Marcus Reed wiped the grease from his hands as he stepped back from the fighter ship's engine. The massive hangar of Outpost Kepler 7 buzzed with activity around him. Mechanics worked on damaged ships, while pilots prepared for another patrol mission. The smell of fuel and hot metal filled the air. "Good work on that engine, Marcus," called out Tony Walsh from across the hangar. Tony was his best friend and fellow engineer. They had worked together for 3 years on this remote base. Marcus nodded and walked toward the hangar's far corner where a massive figure rested in the shadows. Vex lay curled near the back wall, his dark scales gleaming under the artificial lights. The ancient dragon was enormous, nearly 40 feet long from nose to tail tip. His wings were folded against his sides as he watched the humans work. "How are you feeling today, old friend?" Marcus asked as he approached. Vex lifted his great head and looked down at the human. His golden eyes held wisdom from thousands of years of life. "I am well, Marcus Reed. The repairs to Hangar Bay 3 are complete. Just finished them. That Void Scout did more damage than we first thought, but everything is working now." Marcus sat down on a nearby crate. "The patrols have been seeing more enemy ships lately." The dragon's expression grew serious. "Yes, I sense their presence, growing stronger each day. The Void Swarm moves closer to this system. Vex had come to Outpost Kepler 7 5 years ago. He claimed he wanted to help humanity fight against the Void Swarm, the alien force that had been consuming worlds across the galaxy. Most humans were afraid of dragons, but Marcus had been curious. He started bringing Vex spare parts and asking about his long life. A friendship grew between them. The dragon had fought alongside humans in many battles over the past 50 years. He possessed powerful mental abilities that could destroy enemy ships from great distances. More importantly, he understood the Void Swarm better than any human scientist. Suddenly, alarm bells rang throughout the base. Red warning lights flashed as an announcement echoed through the hangar. "All personnel report to stations immediately." "This is not a drill." Marcus jumped up from the crate. "That's the emergency signal. Something big is happening." Within minutes, Captain Lisa Rodriguez's voice came over the base communication system. Her tone was grave and urgent. "Attention all personnel. Long-range sensors have detected a massive Void Swarm fleet approaching our system. The fleet consists of over 200 ships, including multiple world-killer vessels. We have received immediate evacuation orders from Coalition Command." Marcus felt his stomach drop. A fleet that size could destroy entire planets. Outpost Kepler 7 was just a small military base with fewer than 800 people. "All personnel have 18 hours to prepare for evacuation," Captain Rodriguez continued. "We will destroy the base before departure to prevent technology from falling into enemy hands. Department heads report to the command center immediately." The hangar erupted into controlled chaos. Mechanics began shutting down systems while pilots prepared ships for the evacuation fleet. Everyone moved with practiced efficiency, but Marcus could see the fear in their faces. "Marcus, we need to start packing the essential equipment," Tony said as he jogged over. "The transport ships can only carry so much." But Marcus wasn't listening. He was looking at Vex, who had remained perfectly still during the announcement. The dragon's golden eyes seemed distant, as if he was thinking about something far away. "Vex, you'll come with us, right?" Marcus asked. "We can make room on one of the larger transports." The dragon was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was heavy with sadness. "I cannot fly anymore, my friend. My wings are old and tired. I would slow down your escape." "That's not true," Marcus protested. "You helped us fight off those Void Scouts last month. You're still strong." "Fighting and fleeing are different things," Vex replied. "The transport ships are not built to carry creatures like me safely. I would put everyone at risk." Over the next several hours, the base transformed as people prepared to leave their home of many years. Marcus worked alongside the other mechanics to pack critical equipment, but his mind kept returning to Vex. The dragon remained in his corner of the hangar, watching the preparations with quiet dignity. As evening approached, void scout ships began appearing at the edge of the solar system. The base's long-range weapons drove them off, but everyone knew the main fleet was getting closer. During the night shift, emergency sirens wailed again. This time, a supply convoy returning from the outer colonies was under attack by void forces. Without hesitation, Vex launched himself into the air to help defend the convoy. Marcus watched through the hangar's massive doors as the dragon flew toward the battle. Vex's psychic powers lit up the darkness like lightning as he destroyed enemy fighters. The convoy made it safely to the base, but Vex returned badly injured. The dragon crashed into the hangar with a terrible sound. His left wing was torn and bleeding. Deep cuts covered his sides where void energy weapons had struck him. Dr. James Mitchell, the base's xenobiologist, rushed to examine the wounds. The wing membranes are severely damaged, Dr. Mitchell reported to Captain Rodriguez. Internal injuries as well. He won't be able to fly for weeks, maybe months. Marcus knelt beside his friend's massive head. Vex's breathing was labored and painful. "We'll find a way to get you out of here," Marcus whispered. But Vex shook his head weakly. "No, Marcus Reed. My time for running is over. I have lived for 3,000 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. This is where I choose to make my stand." Captain Rodriguez approached them. Her face showed the weight of command during a crisis. "I'm sorry, Marcus. We can't spare multiple transport ships for Vex, not with so many lives at stake." "Then leave me more medical supplies," Marcus said suddenly. Everyone turned to stare at him. "I'll stay with him." "Marcus, that's suicide," Tony protested. "The Void Fleet will be here in less than 12 hours. "I'm not leaving him to die alone," Marcus replied firmly. He looked at Captain Rodriguez. "He's saved human lives dozens of times. He deserves better than abandonment." The captain studied Marcus for a long moment. She understood loyalty and sacrifice. Finally, she nodded. "If that's your choice, we'll leave extra supplies and ammunition. But once we're gone, you're on your own." As the final transport ships prepared to depart, Marcus stood beside Vex in the empty hangar. Most of the base personnel had tried to convince him to change his mind, but his decision was final. Tony was the last to board a transport. He turned back to Marcus with tears in his eyes. "You're the most stubborn person I've ever met," he said. "Take care of yourself." "Take care of everyone else," Marcus replied. "We'll hold the line here." The transport ships lifted off into the night sky, their engines gradually fading until silence returned to the base. Marcus and Vex were alone on a world about to be invaded by humanity's greatest enemy. Vex lifted his wounded head and looked at his human friend. "You should have gone with them, Marcus Reed. Why did you stay?" Marcus checked his tools and weapons, preparing for whatever was coming. "Because that's what friends do," he said simply. "We don't leave each other behind." The dragon's golden eyes gleamed with something that might have been gratitude. Outside, the first enemy ships began appearing in the dawn sky. The morning sun cast long shadows across the empty base as Marcus began his preparations. He had never felt so alone in his life, but looking at Vex gave him strength. The wounded dragon watched him work with tired but grateful eyes. "First things first," Marcus said aloud, talking to himself as much as to Vex. "We need to make this place defensible." Marcus spent the morning studying the base's defense systems. Captain Rodriguez had left them operational before the evacuation. The automated turrets could still fire, and the shield generators had enough power for several days. But they were designed to work with a full crew, not just one human. He climbed into the control tower and began reprogramming the systems. His years as a mechanic had taught him how different technologies work together. He connected the base's sensors to the weapon systems, creating an automatic response network. "The turrets will fire at any void ship that gets within range," he explained to Vex. I've linked them to the main computer so they don't need human operators. Vex nodded approvingly. You show wisdom, Marcus Reed, but automated systems can be fooled. The Void Swarm learns quickly. Then we'll have to be smarter than they are. By afternoon, enemy scout ships appeared on the horizon. They moved in strange patterns, testing the base's responses. Marcus watched them through the control tower's windows while monitoring the defense screens. The first scouts came within weapons range just before sunset. The automated turrets opened fire immediately, sending streams of energy into the sky. 2 void ships exploded in bright flashes, but 3 others escaped back into space. They're learning our weapon ranges, Marcus observed. Next time they'll stay farther back. As night fell, Vex began to share stories of his ancient past. His deep voice echoed through the empty hangar as Marcus worked on improving their defenses. I was young when I first met humans, Vex said, only 800 years old. Your people had just learned to travel between stars. Marcus looked up from the weapon console he was modifying. What did you think of us back then? I thought you were loud and reckless, Vex admitted with something that sounded like dragon laughter. You built machines that should not work, yet somehow they did. You fought battles you could not win, yet often won anyway. Sounds about right, Marcus replied, with a grin. But there was something else, Vex continued. Something I had never seen in other species. When your soldiers fell in battle, their companions would risk everything to bring them home. Even when it meant certain death, humans would not abandon each other. Marcus stopped working and looked at his friend. Is that why you stayed with humanity? Because we don't leave people behind? Partly, Vex said, but also because I saw your potential. Humans adapt faster than any species I have known. You take the best ideas from others and make them better. You turn weaknesses into strengths. Their conversation was interrupted by warning alarms. More void ships were approaching, and this time there were many more of them. Marcus rushed to the control tower while Vex struggled to his feet despite his injuries. 20 enemy fighters descended toward the base in a coordinated attack. The automated turrets engaged them immediately, but the Void pilots had learned from the earlier probe. They stayed at maximum range and used hit-and-run tactics. I need to get in the air, Marcus decided. He ran toward the hangar where several fighter ships remained. Can you handle the base defenses? My injuries prevent flight, but my mind is still strong, Vex replied. The dragon's eyes began to glow with psychic energy. I will target the enemies you cannot reach. Marcus jumped into the nearest fighter and powered up its systems. He had flown these ships before during training, though he was much better with tools than with weapons. The fighter lifted off and climbed toward the attacking force. The battle that followed was unlike anything Marcus had experienced. He focused on the closest void ships, while Vex used his mental powers to attack enemies across a much wider area. Whenever Marcus found himself in trouble, one of his attackers would suddenly lose control or explode without warning. They worked together, as if they had been partners for years. Marcus's quick thinking and mechanical knowledge combined perfectly with Vex's experience and power. When Marcus's fighter took damage, he could repair it on the fly. When Vex grew tired from using his abilities, Marcus drew the enemies closer to the base's defensive weapons. By dawn, 15 void ships had been destroyed. The remaining 5 retreated beyond the planet's atmosphere. Marcus landed his battered fighter and hurried to check on Vex. That was incredible, Marcus said, breathing hard from the excitement and fear. We actually beat them. The first wave, Vex corrected. They were testing our capabilities. The real attack will be much larger. Over the next few days, Marcus worked constantly to improve their position. He salvaged parts from damaged ships to create better weapons. He linked the base's power systems to give the shields more energy. Most importantly, he began working on Vex's injuries. Dr. Mitchell had left medical supplies and equipment, but treating a dragon was far different from helping a human. Marcus studied everything he could find about dragon biology in the bases. Computer files. Your wing membranes need synthetic tissue to heal properly, Marcus explained as he worked. I can't grow new dragon tissue, but I might be able to create something close using the medical fabricator. You would risk experimental medicine on me? Vex asked with interest. You risked your life saving that convoy, Marcus replied. Besides, I've always been better at fixing things that are broken. Marcus spent hours creating a synthetic membrane material that could bond with dragon tissue. He used medical nanites, tiny machines that could repair damage at the cellular level, combined with flexible polymers from the engineering section. The process was slow and careful. Marcus had to learn dragon anatomy while working on his friend. Vex remained patient through the painful procedures, trusting Marcus completely. Why do humans try so hard to help others? Vex asked during one of the treatment sessions. Most species focus on their own survival. Marcus thought about the question while adjusting the healing equipment. Maybe because we're not the strongest or the smartest, he finally said. We survive by working together. When one of us falls behind, we all become weaker. An interesting philosophy, Vex mused. It explains much about human behavior. By the third day, Vex's wing showed signs of improvement. The synthetic tissues were bonding with his natural healing abilities. Marcus had also repaired most of the internal injuries using a combination of medical technology and mechanical engineering. You have skills no doctor possesses, Vex observed. You think like an engineer even when doing medical work. Everything's just a system that needs to be fixed, Marcus replied. Engines, weapons, or dragon wings. You find what's broken and figure out how to make it work again. Their peaceful work time ended when the base's long-range sensors detected a massive energy signature approaching the system. The main Void fleet had arrived, and it was larger than anyone had expected. 300 ships, Marcus read from the sensor display. Including 6 of those world-killer vessels. Vex lifted his partially healed head and looked toward space. They bring their full strength to crush 2 defenders, he said with grim satisfaction. We have annoyed them greatly. Marcus checked their weapons and defenses one final time. They had done everything possible to prepare, but the odds were overwhelming. Are you ready for this? Marcus asked his friend. I have been ready for 3,000 years, Vex replied. The question is whether the Void Swarm is ready for us. The Void fleet hung in space like a dark cloud of death. Marcus watched the enemy ships through the base's main viewer, counting far more vessels than the sensors had first detected. Nearly 400 ships of different sizes filled the void. Between planets, they're taking their time, Marcus observed. Why aren't they attacking yet? Vex shifted his position carefully, testing his healing wing. The synthetic tissues Marcus had created were working better than expected. They are studying us. The Void Swarm does not understand why 2 beings would choose to face certain death. Maybe they think it's a trap. Perhaps. Or maybe they sense something they fear. Marcus turned to look at his dragon friend. Over the past few days, he had noticed Vex acting strangely during quiet moments. The ancient dragon would stare at the floor with intense concentration, as if listening to something Marcus could not hear. Vex, is there something you're not telling me? Marcus asked directly. The dragon was quiet for a long time. His golden eyes seemed to be looking far into the past. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the weight of centuries. Marcus Reed, I have not been entirely truthful with you about why I came to this base. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. What do you mean? I did not come here by chance 5 years ago. I came here for a specific purpose. Vex slowly rose to his full height, wincing from his injuries. There is something beneath this base that I have been guarding. Something the Void Swarm must never find. What kind of something? Instead of answering, Vex began walking toward the back wall of the hangar. Marcus followed, his mind racing with questions. The dragon stopped before a section of wall that looked exactly like every other part. Place your hand here, Vex instructed, pointing to a seemingly random spot on the metal surface. Marcus pressed his palm against the cold wall. Nothing happened for several seconds. Then ancient symbols began glowing beneath his fingers. The symbols were unlike any human writing he had ever seen. They pulsed with soft blue light. Dragon writing, Vex explained. This door has waited 3,000 years for someone to open it. Someone I trust completely. The wall began to move, sliding upward to reveal a passage leading deep underground. Cool air flowed out, carrying strange scents that reminded Marcus of lightning and old stone. A secret passage, Marcus breathed. How is this possible? The base construction records show solid bedrock down there. Your people built this base on top of something much older, Vex said. Something my people created long before humans learned. To leave their home world. They descended into the passage, Vex moving slowly due to his injuries. Emergency lights activated as they walked, revealing smooth walls covered in more dragon symbols. The passage sloped downward for nearly a mile, before opening into a vast underground chamber. Marcus stopped walking and stared in amazement. The chamber was enormous, larger than the entire base above them. Strange machines lined the walls, their surfaces gleaming with the same blue light as the door symbols. In the center of the room stood a pillar of crystalline material that reached from floor to ceiling. "What is this place?" Marcus whispered. "A dragon cache," Vex replied with reverence. "One of the last remaining archives of my people's greatest achievements. Weapons, knowledge, and technology that could change the course of wars." Marcus walked among the ancient machines, trying to understand their purpose. Some looked like weapons, while others resembled communication devices. Everything was built on a scale meant for creatures much larger than humans. "Why show me this now?" Marcus asked. "Because the Void Swarm is not just here to destroy a human base," Vex explained. "They have somehow learned about the cache. They seek the weapons stored here." The truth hit Marcus like a physical blow. "You've been protecting this place all along. That's why you really stayed when everyone evacuated." "Yes. I was prepared to die defending it alone. But your presence changes everything." Vex moved toward the central crystal pillar. "These weapons cannot be activated by a dragon alone. They require partnership with another intelligent species. Trust between two different forms of life." Marcus approached the pillar and saw that it was covered with both dragon symbols and blank spaces that seemed designed for other types of writing. "The cache was built during the last great war against the Void Swarm," Vex continued. "My people learned that cooperation between species creates stronger defenses than any one race can build alone. How long have you known about this cache?" "I have known of its existence for centuries, but I did not know its location until 50 years ago. That is when I began working with humans. I was searching for a species worthy of partnership." Marcus examined the ancient machines more closely. His mechanical mind began understanding their basic functions, even though their technology was far beyond current human knowledge. These weapons could destroy the entire Void Fleet, he realized. "More than that," Vex said. "The cache contains a quantum communicator that can reach across the entire galaxy instantly. If activated, it could contact other dragon enclaves that have remained hidden for centuries." "Other dragons? I thought you were one of the last." "Many of my people chose to hide when the Great Wars ended. They sleep in secret places, waiting for a time when they might be needed again. The communicator could wake them all." Marcus felt the weight of enormous responsibility settling on his shoulders. "What would happen to you if we activate these systems?" Vex was quiet for a moment. "The activation process requires a dragon to channel tremendous amounts of life energy through the crystal pillar. The ancient texts suggest it would likely kill me." "Then we're not doing it," Marcus said firmly. "Marcus Reed, you do not understand the stakes involved. If the Void Swarm obtains these weapons, they could conquer the entire galaxy. Every human world would fall. And if you die, I lose my best friend. That's not happening. Vex looked at the stubborn human with something that might have been affection. This is exactly why I chose to trust your species. You value individual lives even when facing extinction. Before Marcus could respond, alarm bells echoed down from the base above them. The Void Fleet was finally beginning their attack. We need to get back up there, Marcus said, but Vex blocked his path. No, the surface defenses will not hold against such numbers. Our only chance is to activate the cache. Not if it kills you. Look closer at the machines, Marcus Reed. Use your engineer's mind. What do you see? Marcus reluctantly examined the central pillar again. The crystal structure was connected to dozens of smaller machines through a network of glowing conduits. Power flowed between them in complex patterns. It's not just a weapon system, Marcus realized slowly. It's also some kind of medical device. The cache was designed to enhance dragon abilities, not destroy them. The ancient texts were incomplete. The process does not consume life energy, it amplifies it. Hope began growing in Marcus's heart. You mean activating this could actually heal your injuries? More than heal them. It could restore my full strength and connect me to every other dragon cache in the galaxy. But I cannot do it alone. Marcus looked around the chamber at the incredible technology surrounding them. Human and dragon working together, just like he and Vex had been doing for days. What do you need me to do? Help me interface human technology with dragon systems. Your mechanical skills combined with my knowledge could wake powers that have slept for millennia. Above them, the sound of explosions grew louder as the Void Fleet began their assault on the base. Time was running out. If we do this and it works, what happens next? Marcus asked. Then the dragons return to the galaxy, Vex replied. And humanity gains allies who have been waiting centuries for a species worthy of true partnership. Marcus made his decision. Let's wake up some dragons. Marcus ran his hands over the ancient dragon technology, trying to understand how it worked. The machines hummed with power, but their controls were designed for claws and dragon fire, not human hands and tools. I need to create interfaces, Marcus said, pulling equipment from his toolkit. Something that lets human technology talk to dragon systems. Above them, the base shook as void weapons struck the surface. Explosions echoed down through the stone, growing closer with each attack. The enemy was testing the outer defenses. Work. Quickly, Vex urged. The surface shields will not hold for long. Marcus began connecting human computers to the dragon machines. He used cables, circuit boards, and power converters to bridge the gap between technologies separated by thousands of years. His hands moved with practiced skill, following patterns that somehow felt familiar. This is strange, Marcus muttered as he worked. Your technology uses similar principles to ours, but far more advanced. It's like seeing what human engineering might become in 1,000 years. My people learned much from studying other species, Vex explained. We took the best ideas and improved them, the same way humans do now. The first connection sparked to life. A human computer screen began displaying dragon symbols, translating the ancient language into words Marcus could understand. Power levels, weapon status, and system diagnostics scrolled across the display. It's working, Marcus said with excitement. I can read what these machines do. The largest weapons were gravity manipulators that could crush entire fleets. Defense systems could create energy barriers stronger than any human shield. Most important was the quantum communicator, a device that could send messages instantly, across any distance. According to this, there are 17 other dragon caches scattered across the galaxy, Marcus read from the screen. All of them are still active and waiting for orders. 17 caches, each guarded by dragons who chose to sleep rather than abandon their posts, Vex said with pride. My people are more numerous than anyone suspected. The base shook again, this time more violently. Dust fell from the ceiling as something large exploded on the surface. The outer defensive ring has fallen, Vex observed. The Void forces are advancing toward the main base. Marcus worked faster, connecting more systems to his human interfaces. Each new connection revealed more of the cache's capabilities. The ancient dragons had built weapons that could destroy planets or defend entire star systems. "Why did your people hide all this instead of using it?" Marcus asked. "Because we learned that victory in war is meaningless if it destroys what you are." "Fighting to protect," Vex replied. "These weapons are too powerful for one species to control alone. They require wisdom and restraint." A new set of explosions shook the chamber. This time, Marcus heard the distinctive sound of energy weapons hitting the base's main shield generators. "The shields are failing," Marcus said, checking his readings. "We're running out of time." "Then we must attempt the activation now," Vex decided. He moved toward the central crystal pillar. "Are the interfaces ready?" Marcus ran a final check on his connections. Every system showed green status lights. "As ready as I can make them, but I still don't know exactly what will happen." "Neither do I," Vex admitted. "The ancient texts are incomplete. We must trust in our partnership." Vex placed his claws on the crystal pillar. Immediately, blue energy began flowing through the conduits that connected to every machine in the chamber. The dragon's eyes began glowing with the same blue light. "I can feel the other caches," Vex said in wonder. 17 locations, 17 sleeping dragons. They have been waiting so long. Marcus watched his screens as power levels climbed beyond anything human technology could measure. But instead of burning out, the systems seemed to grow stronger as more energy flowed through them. "It's not destroying you," Marcus realized. "The energy is healing your injuries." Indeed, Vex's wounded wing was straightening and growing stronger. The tears in the membrane sealed themselves as ancient medical systems activated. The dragon's breathing became deeper and more powerful. "The cache is restoring me to full strength," Vex said with amazement. "But there is more. I can sense other dragons awakening across the galaxy. The quantum signal has reached them." On Marcus's screens, new contacts began appearing. One by one, the hidden dragon caches were coming online. Each activation sent location data and status reports through the quantum network. "They're all waking up," Marcus said, hardly believing what he was seeing. "Dragons in the outer rim, the core worlds, even in the unexplored regions. There are hundreds of them." "My people return to the galaxy," Vex declared. His voice had changed, becoming deeper and more resonant. The ancient power flowing through him had enhanced his natural abilities beyond their previous limits. Suddenly, every alarm in the chamber activated at once. The screens showed massive energy readings from space above the planet. "The main Void Fleet is beginning orbital bombardment," Marcus reported. "They're trying to dig us out." "Then it is time to show them the true power of the alliance between dragons and humans," Vex said. The dragon began channeling energy into the cache's weapon systems. Ancient gravity manipulators powered up for the first time in millennia. Energy shields stronger than anything in the galaxy activated around the underground chamber. Marcus read, "Connect your human technology to the targeting systems. Your tactical thinking combined with dragon power will create weapons the Void Swarm has never faced." Marcus linked his computers to the ancient weapons. Through the screens, he could see the Void Fleet in orbit, 400 ships arranged in attack formations, preparing to destroy the planet's surface. "Targeting locks established," Marcus reported, "but there are so many of them." "Watch and learn," Vex said. The dragon activated the gravity weapons. Invisible forces reached out from the planet's surface and grabbed 3 void ships. The vessels crumpled like paper before exploding in brilliant flashes. The remaining ships scattered in panic. "How is that possible?" Marcus asked in awe. "Dragon technology focuses on precision rather than raw power," Vex explained. "We can reach anywhere we can see and destroy anything we can target." Through the quantum communicator, other dragon voices began joining the conversation. Ancient beings who had slept for centuries now spoke across impossible distances. "The awakening is complete," Vex announced. 17 caches are fully operational. My people are returning to active duty. On Marcus's screens, new contacts appeared throughout the star system. Ships that had been hidden for millennia were emerging from secret bases. Dragon vessels with technology beyond human understanding began moving toward the battle. The cavalry has arrived, Marcus said with a grin, but the most surprising contact came from a different direction entirely. Human ships were returning to the system. The Coalition evacuation fleet had detected the sudden appearance of unknown vessels and was coming back to investigate. Captain Rodriguez is leading them, Marcus observed, reading the communication signals. They think we're under attack by a new alien force. Then we must show them that these aliens are friends, Vex decided. He activated the quantum communicator's broadcasting mode. This is Guardian Vex of the Dragon Enclave calling all Coalition forces. We stand ready to honor our ancient alliance with humanity. The response from the human fleet was immediate confusion. Captain Rodriguez's voice came through the communicator, filled with disbelief. Vex, is that really you? We thought you were dead. And what's this about a dragon enclave? It is a very long story, Captain, Vex replied. But the short version is that the dragons have returned to help humanity fight the Void Swarm, as if, to prove his point, dragon ships began engaging the scattered Void fleet. Ancient weapons that had slept for millennia awakened with devastating effect. Enemy vessels that had seemed invincible were destroyed by forces they could not understand or counter. Marcus, are you still alive down there? Captain Rodriguez asked. Very much alive, Marcus responded. And we have some new friends who would like to meet you. The battle in space quickly turned from a potential massacre into a rout. The Void Fleet, faced with weapons and tactics they had never encountered, began retreating toward the edge of the star system. This is only the beginning, Vex told Marcus as they watched the enemy flee. The dragons have returned to the galaxy, and humanity has proven worthy of our ancient alliance. Marcus looked around the chamber at the incredible technology now, under their control. What happens next? Next, we teach your people how to build ships that combine human engineering with dragon wisdom, Vex replied. And then we take this war to the Void Swarm's home territory. The underground chamber had become a command center for the most unusual military alliance in galactic history. Marcus worked at multiple screens, coordinating between human technology and ancient dragon systems. Around him, the cache hummed, with power as weapons charged and communication arrays reached across space. 17 Dragon Lords are now online, Vex reported, his enhanced abilities allowing him to speak with multiple ancient beings simultaneously. Each commands a cache similar to this one. The awakening has exceeded all expectations. Captain Rodriguez and her fleet had established orbit around the planet. After the initial shock of discovering living dragons, the human military leaders were adapting quickly to their new allies. Marcus, can you hear me down there? Came Captain Rodriguez's voice through the communicator. Loud and clear, Captain, Marcus replied. How are things looking up there? Confusing but encouraging. We've got dragon ships appearing all over the system. Some of them are larger than our heaviest cruisers. The Void Fleet is regrouping at the edge of the system, but they seem hesitant to attack. Dr. James Mitchell's voice joined the conversation from the medical ship. Marcus, the readings we're getting from your location are incredible. Whatever technology you've activated down there is beyond anything in our databases. It gets better. Doc, Marcus said with a grin. Vex, show them what the gravity weapons can do. The dragon focused his enhanced mental abilities on a large asteroid floating near the outer planets. Through the cache's sensors, everyone could watch as invisible forces grabbed the massive rock and compressed it into a sphere 1/10 its original size. Fascinating, Dr. Mitchell breathed. You're manipulating gravitational fields like we manipulate electromagnetic radiation. This is just the beginning, Vex said. Marcus Reed, are you ready to see what human-dragon cooperation can truly achieve? Marcus had been working on a special project while the Dragon Lords awakened their caches. Using parts from the base above and ancient dragon technology, he had built something completely new. "I've created a hybrid fighter," Marcus announced. "It combines human engineering with dragon power systems. I think it can interface directly with your enhanced abilities." The machine Marcus had built looked like no ship anyone had ever seen. It had the basic shape of a human fighter, but was covered in the same crystalline materials as the dragon cache. Blue energy flowed through conduits that connected every system. "Impressive work," Vex said, examining Marcus's creation. "You have merged two completely different technologies into something neither species could build alone." "Let's see if it works," Marcus said, climbing into the pilot's seat. The hybrid fighter responded to his touch like a living thing. When Vex placed his claws on the external connection ports, Marcus felt the dragon's consciousness merge with the ship's systems. Suddenly, he could sense everything around them with incredible detail. "This is amazing," Marcus said as they lifted off from the underground chamber. "I can feel every enemy ship in the system. I know exactly where they'll move before they do it." "Dragon foresight combined with human reflexes," Vex explained. "Together we can anticipate and respond faster than any purely technological system." They emerged from the planet's surface just as the reformed Void Fleet began their second attack. This time, the aliens had brought reinforcements. Nearly 600 ships advanced toward the planet in a massive formation. "All Coalition ships, this is Captain Rodriguez," came the order over the communication channel. "Dragon allies, we're grateful for any assistance you can provide. Let's show these invaders what happens when they threaten human worlds. The battle that followed would be remembered as the turning point in the war against the Void Swarm. Dragon ships wielding ancient weapons fought alongside human vessels using the latest Coalition technology. But the most effective combatants were the hybrid fighters like the one Marcus piloted. Marcus found himself dancing through enemy formations with impossible precision. Vex's enhanced abilities let him predict enemy movements, while Marcus's mechanical intuition helped him exploit weaknesses in Void ship designs. Together, they destroyed 12 enemy vessels in the first 10 minutes of combat. "The Void ships can't adapt to our fighting style," Marcus observed as he dodged through a formation of enemy cruisers. "They're programmed to fight individual species, not partnerships like ours." "Precisely," Vex agreed. "The Void Swarm conquers by studying and countering the abilities of single races. They have no defense against true cooperation between different species." Around them, other dragon-human partnerships were forming spontaneously. Captain Rodriguez worked directly with an ancient dragon lord to coordinate fleet movements. Dr. Mitchell helped dragon healers treat wounded pilots from both species. Even Tony Walsh, Marcus's engineer friend, was learning to maintain dragon power systems. "This is incredible," Tony's voice came over the communication channel. "These dragon power cores are more efficient than anything we've ever built. If we can learn to manufacture them, we could revolutionize space travel." The tide of battle turned decisively when the Dragon Lords activated their most powerful weapons. Gravity fields swept through the Void formations, crushing dozens of ships at once. Ancient shield technologies protected human vessels from enemy fire, while dragon healing abilities repaired damaged systems in real time. "The enemy fleet is breaking apart," reported one of the Coalition pilots. "They're trying to retreat, but something's wrong with their formation." Marcus understood what was happening. "The dragons are disrupting their hive mind communications. Without coordination, the Void ships can't function effectively." Indeed, the alien vessels were beginning to fire on each other as their shared consciousness fragmented. Ships that had moved in perfect harmony now collided and destroyed each other in confusion. "The Void Swarm's greatest strength has become their weakness," Vex observed with satisfaction. "Their dependence on shared thought makes them vulnerable to psychic disruption." Within 2 hours, the entire Void fleet had been destroyed or driven from the system. Not a single human or dragon vessel was lost, though several had suffered damage. That was quickly repaired through cooperative efforts. "Outstanding work, everyone," Captain Rodriguez announced as the last enemy ships disappeared into hyperspace. But this was just one fleet. There are hundreds more where they came from. Then we take the fight to them, declared Elder Shen, one of the ancient dragon lords whose cache had awakened near the galactic core. His voice carried the authority of millennia. The time for defensive wars is over. The Elder speaks wisdom, Vex agreed. The cache networks contain star charts showing every major void base in the galaxy. With human tactical flexibility and dragon firepower, we can strike at the heart of their empire. Marcus felt a surge of excitement as he realized the implications. We're not just going to defend human space anymore. We're going to liberate every world the Void Swarm has conquered. Dr. Mitchell's scientific mind was already working on the possibilities. If we can study Void technology while we capture their bases, we might learn how to reverse the damage they've done to conquered planets. The alliance between humans and dragons will reshape the galaxy, Vex declared. But first, we must establish a permanent base for our joint operations. I know just the place, Marcus said, looking down at the planet below them. This world has everything we need: ancient dragon technology, human engineering facilities, and the symbolic importance of being where the Alliance was reborn. Captain Rodriguez agreed immediately. Outpost Kepler 7 will become the headquarters for the Human Dragon Alliance. Marcus, I'm promoting you to Director of Hybrid Technologies. Your job will be developing new systems that combine our capabilities. And I will serve as Dragon Ambassador to the Coalition Council, Vex announced. It is time for my people to emerge from the shadows and take their place as humanity's partners in shaping the future. As the combined fleets began establishing orbit around the planet, Marcus reflected on how much had changed in just a few days. His simple decision to stay with an injured friend had triggered the awakening of an entire species and created an alliance that would transform galactic civilization. "What are you thinking about?" Vex asked as they prepared to land their hybrid fighter. "Just wondering what other species might be out there, waiting for the right partnership to change everything," Marcus replied. "If dragons were hiding for centuries, who knows what other allies we might find?" "An interesting thought," Vex mused. "The galaxy is vast and full of surprises. Perhaps our alliance will inspire others to emerge from hiding and join the fight for freedom." As they descended toward the surface, Marcus could see construction crews already beginning work on expanded facilities. Human engineers worked alongside dragon technicians, learning from each other and creating something entirely new. The war against the Void Swarm was far from over, but for the first time since the conflict began, the forces of freedom were taking the offensive. And it had all started because one human mechanic refused to abandon his friend. 6 months after the awakening of the dragon caches, the planet that once housed Outpost Kepler 7 had been transformed into something magnificent. New Kepler Base sprawled across the surface, a gleaming complex where human architecture blended seamlessly with ancient dragon design. Marcus stood on the observation deck of the main command tower, watching ships from dozens of species arrive and depart. The Human Dragon Alliance had grown far beyond what anyone had imagined possible. "The morning reports, Director Reed," said Amy Chen, his new assistant. She handed him a data pad containing updates from across the galaxy. "Thanks, Amy," Marcus replied, scanning the information. "How many new species have requested Alliance membership this week?" 7 more, Amy reported with a smile. "The Stellar Republic wants to contribute their advanced sensors. The Crystal Communes are offering their terraforming technology. Even the Neutral Zone Merchants Guild wants to establish trade agreements." Marcus shook his head in amazement. The Alliance had started with just humans and dragons, but news of their victory against the Void Swarm had spread quickly. Species that had hidden or remained neutral were now eager to join the fight for galactic freedom. "And the military situation?" Marcus asked. "Excellent news there, too. Admiral Rodriguez reports that the joint fleets have liberated 47 void-controlled systems in the past month. Dragon-human hybrid ships are proving incredibly effective in combat." Through the observation deck's windows, Marcus could see the fruits of their cooperation. Shipyards built with human efficiency and dragon artistry produced vessels unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Hybrid fighters like the one he had first created were now being mass-produced with improvements from both species. "Director Reed to the main laboratory," came Vex's voice over the communication system. "We have achieved another breakthrough." Marcus made his way to the research complex, a vast facility where human scientists worked alongside dragon scholars to unlock the secrets of both technologies. Dr. Mitchell ran the human side of operations, while Elder Shen coordinated the dragon researchers. "Marcus, you need to see this," Dr. Mitchell said excitedly as Marcus entered the main lab. "We've successfully grown replacement tissue for species affected by void biological weapons." Marcus approached the medical tank, where a section of void-damaged flesh was being restored using hybrid healing technology. The combination of dragon regeneration abilities and human medical science had created treatments that seemed like miracles. "How many species can we help with this?" Marcus asked. "Potentially all of them," Vex replied, emerging from a consultation with other dragon healers. "The Void Swarm has used biological weapons against hundreds of worlds. Our healing technology can reverse damage that was previously permanent." "The political implications are staggering," Dr. Mitchell added. "We're not just liberating worlds anymore. We're healing them." Marcus felt the familiar surge of pride in what their alliance had accomplished. But more than that, he felt hope for the future. The galaxy was becoming a better place because humans and dragons had chosen to work together. "What's the latest from the front lines?" Marcus asked. Elder Shen answered, his ancient voice carrying satisfaction. "The Void Swarm is in full retreat. Their hive mind structure cannot adapt to our cooperative tactics. They are abandoning outer territories and consolidating around their core worlds." "Which means we're winning," Marcus said. "More than winning," Vex corrected. "We are transforming how warfare is conducted. The Void Swarm conquered through superior individual strength. We are defeating them through superior cooperation." Tony Walsh approached from the engineering section, covered in grease and grinning widely. "Marcus, you have to see the new power core designs. We've managed to create systems that are 90% more efficient than pure human technology. And they incorporate dragon wisdom for self-repair capabilities," added a young dragon technician, named Flame. "The engines will literally heal themselves if damaged." Marcus marveled at how naturally the two species worked together. Initial language barriers had been overcome through shared mathematical concepts and engineering principles. Cultural differences had become strengths as each species contributed unique perspectives. "Director Reed, incoming priority transmission," announced Amy Chen from the communications center. The main display activated, showing Captain Rodriguez aboard the flagship of the Liberation Fleet. Behind her, Marcus could see representatives from a dozen different species. "Marcus, Vex, I wanted you to be the first to know," Captain Rodriguez said with barely contained excitement. "The Void Swarm has just transmitted a request for peace negotiations." The laboratory erupted in cheers from both humans and dragons. After years of devastating war, the enemy was finally ready to discuss surrender. "What are their terms?" Vex asked. "Complete withdrawal from all conquered territories and full reparations for damaged worlds," Captain Rodriguez replied. "They're also requesting technological exchanges to help them transition from a hive mind to individual consciousness. They want to learn how to be individuals rather than a collective," Marcus realized. The same cooperation that defeated them militarily might be able to save them as a species. "The irony is profound," Elder Shen observed. "The Void Swarm sought to consume all diversity in the galaxy. Now they seek diversity within themselves." Over the following weeks, New Kepler Base became the center for peace negotiations between the Alliance and the Void Swarm. The talks were complex and difficult, but the cooperative spirit that had created the human-dragon partnership provided a model for former enemies to find common ground. Marcus found himself appointed as the Alliance's chief technology negotiator. His unique understanding of both human and dragon systems made him invaluable in discussions about shared technological development. The Void beings are actually quite brilliant, Marcus explained to Vex after a particularly productive negotiation session. Their problem was never lack of intelligence. It was lack of individuality. They couldn't conceive of cooperation between independent minds. And now they want to learn, Vex replied. Perhaps in time, they too will become valued members of the galactic community. The peace treaty was signed on the first anniversary of the awakening of the dragon caches. Representatives from over 200 species gathered at New Kepler Base to witness the end of the galaxy's most devastating war. Marcus stood with Vex on the same observation deck where they had first discussed the dragon's hidden past. The planet below them was now home to millions of beings from across the galaxy, all working together to build a better future. "Any regrets?" Vex asked his human friend. "About staying behind when everyone evacuated?" Marcus thought for a moment. "Not a single one. Best decision I ever made. Even though it nearly got you killed?" "Especially because it nearly got me killed," Marcus replied with a grin. "The best adventures always involve a little danger." "And what adventures do you foresee in our future?" Vex asked. Marcus looked out at the stars, where ships from hundreds of worlds traveled freely through space that had once been a war zone. Exploration vessels were already heading toward uncharted regions of the galaxy, carrying mixed crews of humans, dragons, and former void beings. "I think we're going to discover things we never imagined," Marcus said. "The galaxy is vast, and we've only just started working together. Who knows what we'll find when we really start exploring as partners? Perhaps we will find that cooperation is the fundamental force that shapes the universe," Vex suggested. "Individual strength has limits, but partnership has infinite potential." A new ship appeared in the sky above them, its design incorporating elements from a dozen different species. The crew would be equally diverse, united not by similarity but by shared purpose and mutual respect. "Look at that," Marcus said, pointing to the ship. A year ago, most of those species had never even met each other. Now they're exploring the galaxy together. The universe has changed because one human mechanic refused to abandon a wounded dragon, Vex observed. "Your people have a saying about small actions having large consequences." "The butterfly effect," Marcus agreed, though in this case, it was more like the friendship effect. Dr. Mitchell approached them from the research complex, carrying a data pad with the latest discoveries. "Marcus, Vex, you'll want to see this. We've detected artificial signals from the Andromeda Galaxy, structured transmissions that suggest advanced civilizations." "New friends to meet," Marcus said immediately. "Or new challenges to face together," Vex added with anticipation. "Either way, we'll handle it the same way we handled the Void Swarm," Marcus declared, "by working together and never leaving anyone behind." As the sun set over New Kepler Base, casting golden light across the diverse buildings and landing pads, Marcus reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. It had started with a simple choice to stay with a friend. It had led to the transformation of galactic civilization. "Ready for the next adventure?" Marcus asked his dragon partner. "Always," Vex replied. "The universe is vast, and we have only just begun to explore what friendship can accomplish." Together, they watched the stars emerge in the darkening sky, each point of light representing worlds where the Alliance was bringing hope, healing, and the promise of cooperation. The galaxy had learned that diversity was not a weakness to be eliminated, but a strength to be celebrated, and it had all started because a human mechanic wouldn't walk away from a friend.